was watching him. I was watching him.
And then when Hasan's got like a point that he's like right on, he gets like very, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Train gets handled like really hardcore in this, but Train needed to have clips. Like that's on him. Train just needed to have clips ready to go. He needed to have his timeline 100% in order so that he can't get jerked around in a conversation like this. Because I think Hasan is a little bit too rhetorically adept.
You know what? That was inappropriate of me. It was insensitive of me to use a situation of somebody else, right? And, you know, deal with that beef between you and I, right? Like, and I apologize for it. I was assuming that we're going to come on, be reasonable, be honest, and, you know, find a middle ground. I didn't expect full denials for things that, you know, I know he knows happened. Like, I didn't expect that game. I thought we were just going to come on and be like, you know what? Like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done this.
XQC VOD, you and Hasan.
I just made my own choices and built my own business model, I guess, if I were to use a term like that. I paved it on my own. I thought, like, this is a concept that
I love this video.
Concept that I think you can marry with gaming, political commentary. I paved it on my own. Paved it on my own.
I paved it on my own.
Shout out to Destiny, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say, yeah.
Oh, you know them, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So when I watched that video, I was like, oh, that's cool. So we have like.
Why is X even watching this on stream?
Destiny's the reason I know about Triax as well. If Destiny was my roommate, I'd get him late all the time. I was like, all right, whatever. Well, I don't have anything. Like, I don't have anything. I have no option. I'm in the next 11 days. So much so that like Steven was.
Chat. I'm not kidding. When I was playing Blackouts, Destiny, off stream, and as I was in the call, and he kept saying, yo, that's Hasan. I thought it was Hasan from Twitch at the time. So I thought he was my boss, right? I was being nice and really chill with him, and then he was like, no, it's Hasan with one S or whatever. He's the guy, he has like 4 viewers. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo.
DMing me
I could be wrong,
on Discord and
but I do
saying,
not
hey, you know
believe that
what?
women
You
like
don't have a place
Selena
to live,
Gomez
buddy.
like
Like,
grown
you can
men
come
who
stay with
keep
me.
their
It's
own
okay.
toenails
What a
and
good
chew
guy.
on their
Destiny is
dead-foot
a
skin.
great guy. Oh, yeah,
Wait, what was the point of that?
Here, for all of you guys, is here, Fish and Destiny playing.
Okay, wait, hey, listen, I love you.
What?
I told a friend that I would play a game with him, and then I would get ready for that Scott podcast
okay.
shit. Listen, don't worry, you're gonna get all my videos when I watch you. Are gonna go to your stream.
Oh, okay. I mean, no, it's fine. I wanted to watch it with you, but it's cool, dude. Friendship is just dead, I guess. Oh, Speedo McGee's your fan that gave me 200 subs.
Okay, I don't need to chill. All right, what is this? Destiny's good because it made him emotional? No, anytime I cover like more than 2 I think over the past 2 weeks, we mentioned Hasan like twice because it came up in this drama shit. And every time any clip of me with Hasan goes onto the LSF, right now we're in the ocean of Hasan. Hasan's like up good on LSF. And all of his little dick riders and everything. Destiny talking about Hasan constantly. Bro, I wish I talked about Hasan constantly, okay? All I've been doing for the past 8 months is red pill dog shit content. I'm talking about body counts and that men are different than women. That's what I talk about constantly, okay? All right? I'd rather obsess over Hasan than the dog shit boring red pill matrix AIDS inducing content that I've been doing, okay?
You were supporting the pushing of the narratives of me doing a terrible thing watching Gordo. And then what happened a year later?
I would love to see that video. If you have a video of it, like I would love to.
I think the only thing we ever saw linked of this was somebody had linked a video back in 2019 with Hasan making like a snide comment, but it's hard to know right now if like Hasan and his community were actually engaged in this or if it was just like kind of a more niche, or not a niche thing, but it was like a Reddit thing that Train is like attributing to Hasan here. It's hard to know.
I would actually love to see that because that would be shocking to me, especially because since
a lot of things
would
be shocking. I mean, the CS:GO thing too. CS:GO cases came out for that. Competitive among.
The only thing that makes me think that Train might be right here, the only thing that makes me think Train might be right here is that sometimes I feel like Hasan talks like Lav, where Hasan will insist on a certain thing being correct, but he'll only do because somebody doesn't have like a specific piece of evidence being there. Like one thing that he does here is he talks about like the React meta, the React. He did it since day one. He always did it since day one. That's not true. That's not true at all. Hasan didn't get like heavily into React until like I think a year or two into his into like his streaming career. But I think he only pushes that because nobody here knows about his like early streaming days. Yeah, but the fact that Hasan will so confidently push that just because he doesn't have evidence of it makes me wonder about the Gordo shit. But I don't know, you know?
Since day one, well, first of all, Among Us, CSGO, these are things that I did not talk about you in any way.
CS:GO cases. There was a time where I was opening every day for like a year and a half. Every day I did $2,000 worth of CS:GO cases, and the same arguments for gambling were pushed then, right? Yet everyone was opening them. Yet
okay, but you have to say how I have contributed to this. You can't constantly say your community on Reddit were pushing for this.
Not. You were part of the groups that were pushing for this thing. So were you standing up and not saying a word about it?
That's wild. I can't. That's insane.
Why do you think it was so shocking for everyone when you and Pokey and the others begin to watch Gordon Ramsay a year later. Why do you think there was drama around that? There wouldn't be drama. No, listen, there wouldn't be an
Brother,
issue
there's
with
drama around me when I buy a shirt. There's people
Brother.
in this.
Hasan is actually, people say that like Hasan is a shitty debater, etc., etc. That's not true. Hasan is just not very well read, maybe not very smart. I think he's pretty smart. I think he's just not very well read, and he's a partisan hack. He's decently intelligent, but Hasan is actually a really good debater. If you listen, he is very, very good at holding on to the optics for a debate. He will find areas that's strong, and he will just railroad his interlocutor into that area. He's also very good at like obfuscating around like certain terms to like make it look like a conversation is slightly different than it actually is. I think Hasan is actually pretty good at navigating conversations like this. One thing he does that's like really clever, he already did it, and I think he does it more in the future too. He conflates like React with watching full TV shows. That's like another, that's not, Train got shit for watching full episodes of Gordon Ramsay. I feel like I remember this back in the day. And it sounds like, oh, well, I did React too. I watched political videos. Nah, that's not what we're talking about, broski.
No, listen, there wouldn't be an
Brother,
issue
there's
with
drama around.
And then here, this too. Train is asking, and actually a really good question. Train's saying, why was there so much drama when you guys started reacting to shit? If you hadn't made a big deal about it before, and I also feel like I remember, but I can't tell if everybody's gaslighting everybody or what. I feel like I remember that too, that people were like making fun of like, oh, now you guys are all watching Gordo. I feel like even I did this, because I felt like everybody was making fun of Train for doing it. But then he's like, oh, well, people make fun of me for everything. People make fun of me for everything. He's like, no, come on. Like, that's such a weird, like, yeah.
Me when I buy a shirt. There's
Brother.
people in this. There's people in
was
Excuses chat right now that are still bringing that shit up, or buying a house. There's drama around everything I do.
No, there's drama around the hypocrisy, around the heat that I got, and you guys watching it. I wouldn't be brought up if you guys watched it a year later and you got hate for it. Do you understand? I was brought up.
There's drama around me watching or Pokey watching a show because people love shitting on streamers.
No,
You should
there's
know this.
no-
You're a streamer. People shit on you all the time, sometimes unjustifiably.
No shot. Brother, there was drama specifically between, like, I was being brought up in that. Everyone knew it. I remember the years when I was getting heat, and then you guys decided to watch on stream a year later. It blew everyone's minds. Who didn't even watch
Train,
me?
I was watching 90 Day Fiance when you were watching Gordon Ramsay. So I don't know why you're saying this. Like, it literally is something that I've been it's literally been something that I'm not only an advocate for. I am such a firm believer in not giving a shit about IP.
Started on my second round of Gordon Ramsay.
This would be a interesting thing is to bring up timelines. Like, when did Hasan start watching 90 Day Fiance? That would be a really good question. I don't know when the exact dates were. And then you can look that up or compare that to when Train started watching Gordon Ramsay on his second bout. I don't know what the dates are. Here's the clip of Hasan making a snide comment to Train. It looks like Train's watching Godo around September, December of 2019.
All right, bitch, I'm sorry.
I apologize
for that.
What do you mean? I'm not your fucking favorite React streamer, okay? Go watch Trainwrecks if you want him to watch. If you want to watch uninterrupted cooking streams, okay?
See, that what he's talking about there is a direct joke. Because yeah, everybody did like React where we watched like YouTube clips and shit, but the big thing was watching full episodes of Gordo. I don't think people were watching full episodes of anything, and that's what Hasan is making fun of Train here for. This was back in October of 2019. Like, I don't think Hasan's comment here, his comment doesn't make sense. Hasan's comment doesn't make sense here if he's also watching full episodes of stuff, right? It doesn't make sense. So I think Hasan is conflating a lot of the timelines. People are saying he started watching 90 Day Fiancé in April of 2021. That would be 2 years later, but yeah. Listen, I at least met you were the first. Also, I've always been a React Andy before it was the meta. Oh yeah, Hasan is doing the thing where he conflates the React Andy versus like watching full TV shows, which was the big deal, but if I recall, he says something else in that clip. What does Pisco want? Remember when Destiny said copyright should last 1 year? What a base take. God, what an amazing world we would live in if copyright was only a year long.
All right, bitch, I'm sorry.
I apologize for that.
What do you mean? I'm not your favorite React streamer, okay? Go watch Trainwrecks if you want him to watch. If you want to watch uninterrupted cooking streams, okay? Jesus Christ. My bad, bro. We're doing transformative content here. All right?
Transformative content.
I still need to pee. I'm holding my wee-wee in. You can't. He's playing WoW. Omega lol. Oh, that's why you guys are in here. Do more IRL to be 15K, Andrew. He's raiding.
And then we do some topping slices. The pizza at Two Bros is made from scratch every single day, hand tossed. You get it served hot, and you get it served in a matter of seconds. People are very busy.
The hate I'm referring to was the first round of Gordon Ramsay. I created the.
You. Once again, I have to reference something here. I have been a React streamer from the jump. Okay, a React streamer, literally from the jump. I've always reacted. Not only that, but I also do not believe in IP personally, so much so that I've allowed everyone to literally do whatever the they want with my IP. That's why there's like 1,000 different.
I don't like this, and I guess some people do this. I don't like when somebody tries to get like, they try to sell their laziness as a virtue. The only reason Hasan doesn't like micro his like YouTube shit more and did it in the past because he was lazy. But he has a really clever way of sneaking this in as something virtuous, where he's like, oh, like I don't believe in intellectual property, so I allow everybody to do whatever they want. I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with your take on intellectual property. It's because you're lazy. I don't even know if he has any employees now. This guy's making millions of dollars. He doesn't employ a single person. Like, that's not because you're like virtuous and you don't believe in employment or whatever. It's because you're lazy.
Hasan Abi fan channels out there, some of which have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, some of which have literally YouTube check marks, and some of them get demonetized by YouTube. YouTube is constantly trying to get me to take their YouTube is constantly trying to get me to take them down, and I still advocate for them to maintain their monetization. I don't care about IP. If you think that I think that you were exploiting Gordon Ramsay or anyone else, I don't believe that.
I think you have the time frames messed up, right? The time I'm referring to of when I was watching Gordo, you were not reacting yet. You understand? You were not, the first year of your streaming, you were not reacting. That was the year that the Gordon Ramsay stuff started. You understand? It was before you started your reacting phase. Do you understand me? It was during that time. This idea that you were reacting side by side with me is not the truth. When I watched Gordon Ramsay,
yeah, no, it is the truth. I don't think you were watching me, but it's fine. Felix, you pulled something up there. What was that? Was that like one guy in my chat or something?
Bro, I'm trying to find it as hard as I can. I mean,
is this coming from my computer or?
I'm looking for clips of both sides. All I see is a clip of train.
Guy in my chat or something?
Bro, I'm trying to find it as hard as I can. I mean, I'm trying to support both sides. I'm looking for clips of both sides. All I see is a clip of train, and he's molding in this clip. About the fact that you called him out for the Gordon Ramsay days, and it seemed like it was maybe like 2 years ago.
Okay, but is there any clip in there of him reacting to me saying something about Train directly reacting? Because I doubt it. I've been a reactor from the jump.
He hasn't been a reactor from the jump. Not in watching full TV shows. That's not true.
Overall, people were very much against
keep saying it
the
till the day
stealing
dies.
of like shows in their entirety.
I've never been against that. I'm so pro that. I do it all the time. I got fake DMCA'd and people loved it.
But Hasan dances away from it.
Would you be willing to drop that? Like, I've been an advocate against you from day one for like reacting because I have been a reactor myself? I don't know.
The reacting, yes, you have been a reactor yourself, but not during the time that I was watching Gordon Ramsay, the initial period.
Okay, but you got to find something. Because I legitimately don't know what you're talking about when you say this all the time, and you have. It was
during the period that you were playing like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and doing some political content. It was during that time. It was before like the reaction
when I was playing
periods.
Fortnite off of a GoPro camera on my PlayStation, which is how I started off of like a PlayStation Eye camera. I still would react to shit. You want to know how?
But that's not what they're talking about.
I would literally put up the congressional testimony from like
Mark
Zuckerberg. Political stuff. We're not talking. We're talking about the watching of shows. We're not referring to political reacting. We're talking about watching of shows. Listen. The point of this conversation is to shed light why both of us feel as if we have been jabbing each other. Right? I'm just showing that.
No, but I don't even know where it comes from. I don't know where you're coming from with respect to this. So
notice how Train kind of has something there, but Hasan dances away from it again because nobody's holding him to that.
If you have proof, and if you find, like, here's the thing.
Yeah,
okay, I'm willing to apologize. If I have said something that you truly were like genuinely upset about, and it's not just like some guy on Reddit or whatever the. If you find something and you show me, like, I will literally apologize to you, because I don't think I ever did that. You have been saying this for so long, though, that it's basically like it basically became permanent in your mind and also in the minds of many people in your community and in other communities as well. So I'm telling you, if there is a moment where I have like shit on you, if I've said like, oh dude, that guy Train, like reacting to videos is all he does, like I hate that or whatever I will genuinely apologize to you, but I don't think there is a clip.
And this, I have to wonder how intentional like his approach to conversation is. He sets himself up so well here in that he's able to exist on both sides of this argument in the perfect way. Like, bro, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this at all. I don't know why you're hating me for this. If I did do it though, I'll completely apologize, man. But I didn't do this. So like, even if Train did find a clip here, like he's still got a way to kind of like dance out from it. Now it could also be the case that Hasan like genuinely forgot. But the way that he's misrepresenting like the beginning of his career and how he keeps conflating like reacting to full TV shows with like just like watching YouTube videos, it makes me wonder how intentional this is. I'm not sure.
I think we kind of have to let this go because one, I think that the comments that Hasan made, I think the stuff that you were saying it, were a little bit subjectively, a little bit like sly.
Wait, what comments did I make? What comments did I make? No. But like, it's important. This is important because this is something that he's been saying for.
Okay,
this is something that Train has been saying for a while. Okay,
Yeah, so
this is something that he's been saying for a while. The only thing I was able to find is him actually shitting on you, XQC, for the live streams haters about the Gordon Ramsay thing from 4 years ago. Here, I found the clip.
Well, I think Trump's a dumb fuck. I don't give a fuck if you shit on me because I should.
That's what the argument was. That I'm DMCA.
So it's not even about me. I think Train thinks like you were the one who fucking yelled at him or whatever the fuck, and then he like thinks it's me.
And I'm TOS.
I remember it was you.
Okay.
It was you and others.
Do you remember it was me, or do you want it to be me because it's a more appropriate person to yell at?
Look, this tweet right here.
I'm not yelling at you. I don't
Gordon
want
Ramsay
it
says,
to be you.
"Hey, Twitch, can I get
It was you.
All the voices, oh my God.
Right? Because Gordon Ramsay was like, I guess, mauling the people reacting to his content, and you reply, Hasan, he says, it's a platform where we watch you every day. I think it's fair to assume you're referencing Train spamming Gordon Ramsay content in a sly way. Right?
Wait, what? I was watching Gordon Ramsay at that point,
that
Felix.
was way after Felix. That was.
I was watching him. I was watching him.
And then when Hasan's got like a point that he's like right on, he gets like very I don't know. I feel like Train gets handled like really hardcore on this, but Train needed to have clips. Like that's on him. Train just needed to have clips ready to go. He needed to have his timeline 100% in order so that he can't get jerked around in a conversation like this. Because I think Hasan is a little bit too rhetorically adept to just get caught without somebody having like a rock solid timeline.
There's a clip here from 4 years ago that a chatter found. Hold on, can I just listen to some?
To be on his podcast, and then shits on me, or comes into.
Oh, this is when I first got upset at you for shitting on me. As far as socialism being no, that's not. That I thought that was related to React-gate shit.
Go ahead.
As far as like socialism being at odds with my mode of existence. That is another thing that I am very. That is another thing that I've been very consistent on with respect to like having anti-capitalist values while simultaneously still being a fucking dumbass who likes commodities that are luxurious. That has been a consistent talking point for myself for a very long time. So I don't know why you think that ultimately conflicts. Socialism is not a poverty cult. Socialism or anti-capitalism or wanting to make things at least marginally better for working class Americans is not, no matter how much people say, oh, lol, Bernie Sanders has 3 houses fucking owned or whatever the fuck. That is not at odds with the way I live. This is a point of contention, though.
I'd be surprised if
there's
this is a really tricky conversation to navigate. I don't know if Train
kinds of ways
is like able to do this,
but ultimately it's about the relation to the means of production. That's it. That's all this is, and it's about giving workers more autonomy. It's not about doing charity, okay? I've never said socialism is charity, even though I myself engage in charitable acts. I've been fairly consistent on that as well, with respect to just doing it regardless of whatever people say, even if they shit on me. I think XQC can advocate for that as well. I've literally had private conversations with them many, many years ago even, about like, it's a good thing, people will shit on you regardless, you should still do it. But yeah, socialism is exclusively and almost entirely about the relations of the means of production and how society is developed around the current organization of the economy and how commodities are produced.
Okay. So you're saying that if there's a distinct point in what he sees socialism and the action you can do to further socialism, and okay, it makes sense. Do you agree with what he said? Did you know what he said?
No.
He says that socialism, right, is more the means of production and the worker stuff, and not the whole spread the wealth thing. And I think you say, oh, you should spread the wealth more type shit, right?
I would agree. So I would agree with Hasan.
Spreading the wealth is not socialism. If that was the case, then Jeff Bezos would be the #1 socialist. You know what I mean? He albeit a very minor part of his overall wealth, he gives back fucking hundreds of millions of dollars. That he would be literally a socialist if that was the case.
So I think the point is this, right? Preaching socialism without action is literally just capitalism. Do you understand? If you preach the idealistic way that society should operate, yet you don't implement any of those systems, right, within your own, let's say proportionally within your own community, to show that these systems can work. Just wait.
No. I love that. No, that's actually a great point. It's a great point, and it unfortunately fails to capture how inescapable capitalism is. Do I benefit from it? Absolutely. I'm a profoundly fortunate person, something that I regularly acknowledge and talk about all the time. I'm very privileged. I'm very fortunate. These are things that I do not hide. I'm wealthy. Another thing that I do not hide. I don't know why people always say that I hide it.
I live within my means.
Ultimately, if cooperatives can work individually, and
what was it? Like, I have a
socialization work.
I forgot the phrase you used.
For example.
Hilarious.
Like in European social democracies, like Norway, even in Canada, it works better than the United States, even though it has its flaws.
Basic necessities, he says?
So I live on a basic necessity budget for the most part anyway. Okay.
A basic necessity budget? I don't even know if I say I live on a basic necessity budget. $1,200 pants? $1,300 shoes? $600 hoodie is probably the most understandable thing of all this shit. Jesus. I don't understand designer fashion because I feel like if you're a fashionable person, if you pick the right shit out of like a thrift store, like aren't you gonna have like, if you've got like a sense of fashion, won't it all look good? Or do you guys actually have like an eyeball for like, you see things like, wow, that's really expensive. Like, does it actually, like, this outfit that he's wearing right here, I could see like a carpet cleaning dude at like the place he used to work wearing something comparable. You got like kind of like a big sweatshirt, some like khakis, I guess, is that what you would call these? Or jean khakis or whatever? And then like some shoes. Like, it doesn't really look, like, this doesn't look like a $3,000 outfit. It's all material? Is the material really that much better? Current fashion trends are just awful. Everyone looks like they're painting a bedroom.
There are instances of like socialization, not socialism, working in other countries, and yet that has still not changed people's minds in the United States of America. So I don't know why you think that like something completely and entirely removed from socialism itself, which would be me like, I guess, doing socialism in my own community. I don't know how you would do that, but I would love to hear your perspective. I don't know how that would genuinely change people's minds in that regard. But as far as like my own form of commodity production, I work with union labor in union shops in the United States of America, and it's domestically manufactured when I do merchandising. And I have some form of cooperative organization where the people that I work with, not my workers per se, but people that I work with, whether it be my producers or editors, have full autonomy over their times, full autonomy over how much they make, full autonomy over a percentage of the profits or even more. Not only that, but they also have editorial independence, like in the case of...
Keep in mind that for Hasan here, I don't know if he knows this and he's just playing a clever game. None of what he said has anything to do with socialism. Socialism or socialist ideas would have to do with these workers cooperatively owning the brands that they're working for, not having their own time to work, not having their own computers, not setting their own schedules, none of that shit. It would be having some ownership over what's actually being produced, which none of them have any ownership over it, obviously, because Hasan doesn't want to give up any power to his brand because he's a good capitalist. But it's funny that he brings up all these other things. Like they go on break. What he's doing right now, it's funny because nobody will ever call him out for it because people just don't know enough. But what he's doing right now is actually the equivalent of when Elon Musk was like, when Elon Musk was saying like, oh, or when he installed the ice cream cone machine in the Tesla factory, the SpaceX factory. That's the same thing.
Of Ostenox who can say what he wants, and I'm not going to, go after him unless he's making an erroneous mistake. So that's
Which
it.
he has with
That's
the Penn program.
That's my perspective, and I think I try to live by my values as best as possible, and I think I do a decent job, I think, at that.
That perspective is convenient, in my opinion. Like, it's a convenient perspective to have, right? Like, if I would accept that perspective.
Wait, why is it convenient?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So everything that you do would be completely fine, right? If you moved away from these extremisms, right? And you moved more so to the middle, and you're like, okay, listen, guys, I'm a capitalist, but I believe in socialist systems to be mixed in with the capitalistic systems to create a better society, right? To grab the good of both. You understand?
Actually,
the problem
true.
is you're completely shitting on capitalism. You're completely eat the rich, anti-capitalist.
I'm losing you again. Everyone can hear you except for me. I'm sorry. Can you hold on?
I'm a capitalist, but I believe in socialist values. I believe in socialist systems. I believe in more of a mix, right? If you pushed it more to the middle left, it would make sense to exactly what you do. It would make sense to your entire business model. But to sit there and
wait, what? Address why it's conflicting.
Oh, I'm getting there. But to sit there, right, and to sell, right? Think about this, okay? Your entire business model, in my opinion, is that of a capitalist business model, right? You sell how the world should be, right? While justifying not implementing those very systems of how the world should be by saying you're just participating in society. That's fine. You can participate in society, but at the very least, in the position that you're in, making what you make, in my opinion, the words are not enough. You should be implementing these very systems within your own community to show that these systems work.
Yeah,
you understand, on a proportional level. If you cannot implement the very systems you preach that should be implemented within America into your
it was always choppy.
What? I'm streaming on Rubber right now, motherfucker.
A community of 30,000, then I would just say you're grandstanding and you're just selling an idea to make money yourself, right? Like,
that's great.
To me, that's
a great point. That's a great point.
And
You're absolutely correct on it if your understanding of what I advocate for was sound. And I think this is a normal misunderstanding, and a lot of people have this misunderstanding. I just gave you examples of a relation that I have where I am producing commodities with the help of others that are involved in the process. And I told you that I utilize, when I am actually producing commodities, utilize the same values that I uphold, okay? Whether it be unionized domestic employees that I am whenever I'm working on merchandise, or whether it be having a cooperative podcast or having full autonomy and having everyone set their own wages with relation to how much profit or how little profit a certain venture makes. That is as close as you
remember earlier. Something that was interesting is what Hasan said earlier is he gave a definition that socialism or whatever only had to do with the relationship between like how things were made, right? All of this other stuff he's giving up right now is like the standard capitalist answer to like, oh no, we don't need socialism. We let our employees set their own wages. We let our employees do this or that, right? But what the socialist Hasan would say, and what he said earlier in this conversation, well, hold on, none of that has anything to do with socialism. That's just capitalism with like a couple of like nice things for workers, right? Because socialism deals with kind of like the relationship between the producers and the laborers, kind of, right? But
you can get to
none of this. I don't think Trent's going to be able to bring this
multiple
up,
different formations of trade unionism, an anarcho-syndicalist perspective, and also some level of socialism. So from that perspective, you are objectively incorrect. In most other circumstances, I have no control over it. There's nothing I can do. Like as far as
there is,
as far as turning Amazon into a cooperative corporation, I can't do that. It is a massive, almost $1 trillion operation that I have no control over.
Okay, so what you're saying is that for you, the socialism aspects are only the means of production and the workers and the fact that they're unionized or not. It's all about the workers. Okay, I have a question then. When you have a podcast, the Freedom Pod, how much are the guests and producers paid on that show?
1/3. of the entire revenue.
The guests are paid?
No, the guests are not paid. The guests can come on voluntarily, of course. If they would like to get paid, we would, of course, pay them if there was like a guest fee or anything. But we don't pay guests. We are not interested. We're not interested in having a guest on specifically to make money. I don't think that would be weird. I think.
That's probably true. It's paying guests for podcasts is not the norm.
March gets 1/3 of the entire revenue generated at the moment from the Fear End podcast operation, which you can go and subscribe to at patreon.com/fearend.
Listen, every system that you mentioned in which you apply your socialist values to, you are making money from these systems, and that's fine. That's okay. But the areas that I think should be more consistent in are the ones where you take a percentage of your wealth. Now, listen, this argument that your chat gives or you give or your loyalists give of, so if you're a socialist, you have to be broke on the streets, that example in itself has to be the most delusional, extreme example. Why combat?
I don't know what you're talking about. Explain what you mean. I'm a little slow. I'm a dumb guy. I need you to break it down for me a little bit. I'm serious.
I don't know why he does
Okay.
this.
What do you mean? I just gave you an example of where I do this, and I want you to explain what you mean.
What I mean is, do you not preach a society where healthcare is free? A society
Train
where
doesn't really
education
understand the socialist thing
is
either, though.
Not as backwards as it is in America today, right? These systems, in my opinion, you are in a position where if you truly believe that implementing these systems are a real thing, you are in a position to do something that matches what you say. Otherwise, you're just selling false hope in a business model fashion, which is capitalism, right? In a nutshell, to make the money. That's easy to do, but you are in a position to do more. Do you understand?
Do you want me to open up a hospital? Because I think you're.
It's not about opening up a hospital. It's not.
What is it about? Give me specific examples of what I can do, so I can tell you if it's like feasible or not.
Okay, so for example, I know a lot of your vocal minority community argue that the mental health care program is a charity, right? But that program, the part of the charity that it is just the part in America. If we were to implement that program, right? Taxes would pay for the program. In this situation,
absolutely.
Real quick. In this situation, we don't have that luxury, right, of having a tax system to draw a lot of money from the people. So what's replacing it is the charity aspect. To confuse that the system itself as a charity it's not comparable to the excuse of not doing it.
Are you asking me to provide everyone in my community health care?
I'm asking you to follow through with what you say. So create the system, create education as well, right? You can create a system in which you put a percentage aside that you believe the rich should put aside in America, and you implement that on a small scale.
Like they're both like behaving themselves. Not like they're screwing each other.
We can do it. So can America. If you can't even do it yourself and you give these excuses.
So you want me to set up like a 501c3 specifically to like pay the hospital bills of every single member in the community that pays?
No. It's about creating a system. You understand? Ignore the actual payment of. It's a system that reflects what you preach and delivers it to people who do not have the financial means to get what you believe they have a right to get. Do you understand? That's what it's about. That's what implementing, that's what the actions over the words means when you sit there and you preach what you preach on a daily basis and make millions from it, right? And that's okay to make millions from it. It's okay.
But Train.
But there needs to be an implementation of it.
You understand I'm not the government, right? Like
I just explained the proportional or the comparison between what would be right in this situation. You create a system, and through your own donation, you would be virtually the tax system that would pay for it in a governmental form, right?
Okay, like that's what you're describing. Where you're taking the long way to describe is literally, first of all, charity. For the record, insurance on the other hand,
the difference.
Or taxes on the other hand. Insurance or taxes, which are two different ways of funding. Some form of healthcare or a payment mechanism for healthcare revolves around people paying into a system and then getting it back in the form of adequate healthcare, right? This is how it works. So you and I are in agreement, I think, as far as how the government should operate this, right? I think you believe in free healthcare, right? I think
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Healthcare is. I believe healthcare is a right. Right.
So,
I believe our education system is completely backwards. I believe we should be encouraging students to go to school. We should be encouraging students. I believe the new baseline should be college. This idea where we're pushing that college is unnecessary, you can't apply this or that, I think is ridiculous. But I do think it stems from our backwards financial education.
So how can I do what you're describing without building a hospital or building a 501c3?
I just explained it.
Wait,
I just explained, right? For example, the program I have, right? It's easy to compare the two and say, oh, it's a charity. No. The charity part of it is replacing the tax system in which the government would pay for that system. Since we don't have that tax system, taking a percentage of what you make, like you preach should happen for the rich, right? And putting it into that system, right? So what you make, a percentage of what you make going into that system would be replicating
about some online mutual aid thing. That's kind of what he's getting at, but he doesn't have the vocabulary for it. But yeah, he's kind of describing like mutual aid.
Monthly, right? For each respective community across Twitch, across YouTube, across Kick, across wherever.
Yeah, you're saying you want to start, if I'm not misunderstanding, you want to start like a healthcare structure or Twitch watchers that us Twitch streamers put together.
Yes.
Yes, us Twitch streamers, we put together a healthcare structure. Okay.
Is that socialism though? Is that?
That's not. No, it's not. It's just. Okay. But it is. But it is nice. It's not socialism. That's not socialism.
The wealth.
But it is nice. It is nice. It's a good idea. It's a charity.
Distributing the wealth of the rich into systems that give healthcare to the poor is exactly the values of socialism. Is it not?
Yes, you're right. But by your logic, then
not really, but
charities would be considered socialism, but it's not.
No.
And also, if charities eradicated the existence of these problems, if charities eradicated the existence of these problems, then in the United States of America, it's one of the most charitable countries on the planet. We would literally not have a single person die because they can't get their diabetes medication, which is why you have to advocate for the government, as I do all the time, not only put pressure on congresspersons, but like literally directly talk to them from time to time as well, and utilize my community to go vote a certain way.
Oh,
I am technically trying to do that in a grander scale. It's unfortunately very difficult to accomplish.
So let me ask you this. If the socialist himself cannot find a way to distribute a percentage of his wealth, who do you expect to do it? The capitalist sitting at the top? It needs to start somewhere.
No,
it needs to start somewhere, right? If we can't do it on this level, how are you expecting a country of 335 million to implement it on that scale? We need to find a way to proportionally scale it within our business models, whether it's the charity aspect, replacing or replicating the tax system. Do you understand? Like, the action needs
you
to
do realize
like
countries have socialized healthcare, right? Like the UK has the NHS system. So like literally just pointing to that should be able to have a wake up moment for the minds of millions of Americans. But it still hasn't worked. So technically what you're saying is well intentioned. And I love that you're saying this, but it demonstrably doesn't work. I point to actively working socialized healthcare structures on a daily basis, and yet I have not been able to, individually at least, move the needle on getting Americans to get on board with Medicare for all.
These terms
Neither
are used.
did Bernie Sanders, again, unfortunately.
It's about creating the system, right? And the charity would be the pool of money used to fund the system that gives healthcare to your community to show that it works. What you preach works. You can take from the rich and provide for the poor, provide for the people who don't have the
real charities at the top of the hour,
security or the luxury.
Where there's a 3-minute ad
in
break
America, which is so.
And if you no longer want to see those ads, you can get gifted a sub.
Healthcare, right? To have basic educational costs covered, to push that. We need that kind of stuff, right? So I believe we need to act instead of just preach. Otherwise, where does it start? Where does the chain reaction start?
Yeah, this is a misunderstanding. I think he kind of agrees with you, right? But at the same time, when you say to uphold socialism, in his view, he does, because socialism is the means of production and the workers and the labor, right? That is his socialism. So even though he agrees with you, he still doesn't agree with the fact that you think that this is socialism when he said what his socialism is, right? So that's what this disconnect is. So I do agree that there's a domino effect.
Because what he's talking about is just charity, which is great. I love that as a concept, and I'm on board with it. It's just not. It's demonstrably failed to improve. That doesn't stop me from giving money to charities. All right, obviously. That doesn't stop me from funding money or doing fundraising for charities and also directly donating. But if what he was talking about as far as charities actually solve the issues
Listen,
in the United States of America would have no healthcare issues.
To help you understand this, okay? Take a look at my mental health care program, okay? Because you keep saying charity, okay? So yes, the money goes into the charity to hold, right? What I'm referring to is the system that's created, right? The viewer can now, that does not have access to healthcare, can now have a way through me taking a percentage of my wealth and putting it as a funding source to free healthcare. Ignore the charity part of it. It's the system. This is what I mean by actions over words.
Yes, you're right. If everyone was paying into, but in the form of taxes, if everyone was paying into the government,
is
the government's
describing
like,
mutual aid. He doesn't realize it, but that's essentially what he's describing. Mutual aid is the idea that you start to create these systems that kind of work and run independently, societally, that don't rely on like the government or don't rely on charity or whatever, that kind of like help each other and replace like maybe other services that you might pay for. That's like mutual aid. Although in today's like socialist world online, people conflate mutual aid with just donating or charity, but they are two fundamentally different things.
Rural hospitals, which is a major problem as well in America, and we're going to make sure that everyone can get healthcare for free when they go into a hospital. That would be socialized medicine. It would not be socialism. It would be a form of socialization.
So couldn't you implement what you preach into a system like that for your community to have access to things that they don't have access to because of their financial means, right? Because of their financial situations. That's what I'm asking. It's easy to preach, I think that
is doable, certainly, and it's not impossible. The problem in that situation would be that it would require me dropping everything I normally do and basically learn an entirely new set of skills. It would not be a system. It would, again, just be a charity, that a 501c3 that I would have to set up. And I, unfortunately, am a dumbass who doesn't know anything about setting up a 501c3, which is why I usually, just like you did, work with other 501c3s that are pre-existing in this regard. But again, I have raised and also funded more than $500,000 last year, which is a marginal amount in comparison to how charitable you are. You're a very charitable person. And this year so far, almost like $2 million, if I'm not mistaken, to various different causes. I don't think that is socialism. I just want to make that clear. I don't think that that's socialism. I do it because I think it's the right thing to do. I'm a very fortunate person, and I think the capacity to be able to give back is a good thing. That's why I do it. But even by that metric of like, if you think that building these sorts of systems is socialism, then I guess I'm a relatively socialist person.
I think it's right for each individual, right? It's a value within themselves, right? So if you're making X and X amount of dollars, I believe because of the fortunate situation both you and I are in, I do believe in higher taxes for us. I do believe in both of us taking a percentage of our wealth and putting it into systems, right, that can distribute it to people and give them the baseline, what I believe to be a right, which is healthcare, education systems that pay for their schooling based on, let's say, a hardworking students or whatever the hell that is, GPA, whatever you want to measure that by, right? That's what I believe. So what I'm saying is, I do think, ignore the charity aspect. I'm referring to the systems. The charity is just a funding pool in this comparison, right? I believe we should not just talk it, we should act on it. Right? So we should take a percentage of our wealth, whether it's 20%, 30%, 10%, whatever it may be, and put it towards systems that give what we believe to be a right to the people that don't have access to these things that I believe should be a right? I
think the system you're describing is a 501c3 though, right? Like that's...
In this situation, the 501c3 would be provided, and all you would have to do, right? So let's hypothetically say for this mental health care program, right? Wouldn't you say, if you don't want to create that this is it's right there, right? It's a system you believe in for your community, right?
So
why would
you're agree with? I'm just
okay, go ahead.
Hasan doesn't. Even though he thinks these things are good and he wants to do those things, and sometimes he hasn't, or maybe he will in the future, he still doesn't view that as a fundamental socialism.
Wait, first of all, I do those things. Let's make it clear. I think I do a decent job at doing those things.
Yeah, but I still think he doesn't view that as the fundamentals of socialism, and that's not what he preaches.
Yes.
Therefore, he doesn't feel like you've gotten him on the dude, you haven't donated this much. Well. Hasan doesn't feel like Like,
Yeah.
like you got him on not doing what he preaches when this is not what he preaches in that regard to socialism. That's what he feels like.
So you're picking and choosing what aspects of socialism apply based on what you have to act on, what you don't. I'm confused.
I mean, ask Hasan.
So we're cherry picking what parts of socialism we want to preach, and those are dependent on which ones actually require you to distribute a percentage of your wealth into systems that distribute it to the people that are less for. It seems like we're cherry picking what we have to act on and what we don't. It just seems very convenient to me.
I think that the fundamental disagreement here is that charitable donations is socialism is like kind of your perspective here. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You can correct me, but that's all I've heard from you. As far as like maybe you don't say charitable donations, you say systems, but that's kind of what you're talking about. And that is fundamentally not true, which is fine. It's still fine, though. You're right. I think it's a good thing to, again, uphold charity and try to do your very best to help others who are less fortunate. But if you're asking me as someone who like at least describes the concept of what socialism is, that is not true. What you're describing is just fundamentally just a 501c3.
I feel like there's a disconnect for you and probably with others as well in what I'm referring to, okay? And the only reason, okay, let's take my mental health care program as an example of this, since it's the only thing I can show you in this regard. Right. That's on Twitch. That can help you understand this, okay? So ignore the charity aspect of what's going on there, okay? That's there. The reason I had to.
How does Train actually win the argument here?
Obviously, as a streamer.
I don't think I want to listen. What Trey needs to say is, if you believe in the tenets of socialism and you think it's a positive way forward, what you should be doing is you should be using your money to invest in systems that can be self-sustaining and perpetuating in society as they would be in an ideal socialist society. So a mutual aid, here are a couple of things that I can think of right off the bat. I don't know about the legality of these things, and this is just coming off the top of the dome. But let's say, for instance, you invest in some sort of community infrastructure where everybody throws $10 or $20 into a pot every week for a neighborhood where you get like a beefy dude, maybe some guy that used to be a bouncer, and that's like your community guy that you call if something's wrong, right? Let's say that you're an ACAB person, you don't believe in the police, fuck them, you don't like them, blah, 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 blah. Everybody pitches in 10 or 20 bucks a week, or maybe even 10 or 20 bucks a month, and then some dude is on call basically to answer if somebody feels like there's someone in their backyard, somebody they don't trust or whatever, and then call that guy into the police. That'd be an example of something where that's like mutual aid. You've created another, hopefully self-sustaining service that replaces a service that a capitalist society was providing you. That would be like an idea of mutual aid, I guess. Or it could be something like somebody, like you pay somebody in the neighborhood to grow like a little fucking vegetable garden in the back, and then you buy vegetables from them, et cetera, et cetera. It's about creating kind of these self-sustaining ecosystems, or these self-sustaining systems that can be part of a greater ecosystem that more closely resembles the socialist society you'd want, rather than relying on capital invested products like ownership of all of that, means of production, all that shit to produce goods and services you need, basically, right? But socialists, I don't even think socialists believe this can work. When they all get rich, none of them ever want to do any of this. They all go and shop at like the biggest capitalist stores ever. They don't give a fuck about any of this. And but Train just doesn't have like the vocabulary to push in that direction because he's not familiar as much with these things, which is fair. I mean, most socialists don't know anything about this shit. That's why, again, 99% of socialists online that do mutual aid, when they say they're doing mutual aid, what they really mean is they're just doing fundraising. They're just donating money to something. They're not really doing mutual aid at all. A good example is the Black Panthers used to set up a school lunch program for black communities. Sure, or like the Mafia or whatever that used to run like trash services and shit in New York or whatever, you know? But why do you think Hasan is so blatant with buying designer clothes and living in luxury, so to speak? Doesn't he care about his image in the eyes of socialists/leftists? No. He doesn't care about his image in the eyes of socialists. Socialism is his image, right? The socialist aesthetic is the hottest, sexiest thing right now. If we were living in Nazi Germany, he would be like the Nazi on the radio with like the coolest Hugo Boss. Was that the Nazi brand? I don't know. He'd be wearing those outfits or whatever. He doesn't give a about like socialism and communism per se. They're just the talking points that he echoes because that's like the sexiest aesthetic to wear right now. And obviously like designer clothes, luxury fashion, private planes, Burning Man, those things are all like part of that ecosystem as well. It's about like whatever makes you basically look like the coolest. And his body is like a billboard for whatever like the coolest ideology is, basically. It's essentially what it is.
Good. This is so fun. I'm on stream and I can talk to you finally again. Well, isn't this crazy, bro? I felt like, it's been years.
Well, maybe a year, but yeah, it's been a while.
Have they only been banned for a year?
Yeah, I think so.
Bro, it feels like it's been 3 fucking years.
True. Well, what's up? What do you want? Do you want me to give you my review on your thing, or?
No, you can tell me later. I think you're moved on past it, so I don't want to interrupt your flow. I just wanted to hear your voice while I was live.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
continue with your flow and what you're on. We could talk about it later. You can give me your analysis later. Or I could watch your VOD.
Thanks. Well, we could just talk about it right now because I just finished it, so it's still fresh in my head, kind of.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to, this. Okay, here's an issue. Okay, one issue is that Hasan is a pretty smart guy, and he is good at talking about this like socialism and everything without like getting caught. So if you're going to go in and you're going to argue, you have to be like very, very, very adept at navigating the conversation because it is incredibly difficult. And he's really good at kind of like slipping around on things. I think one thing that you were trying to nail him on, if you're going for like W's in a conversation, is you were actually pushing towards a concept. I don't know if you are aware of this, but have you heard of something called mutual aid?
I just watched your video on that. Yeah, I just watched that part of it on stream.
Oh, yeah, that's actually what you're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about something called mutual aid.
I think what I was talking about better was this, okay? So, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is mutual aid that I'm talking about, but so ignore that's going to be a meme, obviously. Ignore the system itself. Like, so for a moment, let's give into what they were saying and to maybe what you're saying. I think my point to the entire thing is, regardless of what we're giving to, my point is I would like to see some action in a percentage of his wealth being distributed somewhere that is consistent with what he preaches, right?
Yeah, this is the easy question that makes all of these kind of guys mauled, okay? Here's what you gotta ask. It's just one easy question. You're gonna go, okay, let's say that somebody is just like you, okay? If we ignore what you say on stream, what's the difference between you and a capitalist? And then that's it. And then the conversation is over. Because truthfully, his answer is nothing.
I think I said that in a different way at the beginning, right? I said preaching socialism without action is literally just capitalism.
Yeah, but you got to lean in harder to that because then he'll push on a bunch of weird, dumb ways to kind of like fight against that. But you should force an answer for like, well, what's the difference between capitalists and you if you just ignore what you talk about on stream? Like, what's the difference between you and a capitalist? And make him actually answer that question because he won't be able to give you an answer on that.
Well, I think the difference in his mind or in others' minds are the goalpost gets moved on what defines a capitalist. First, it's the millionaires, then it becomes the 9-figure millionaire or 8-figure millionaires. Then when you become an 8-figure millionaire yourself, it becomes the 9-figure millionaires. And once you become a 9-figure millionaire yourself, suddenly it becomes the billionaires, right? Like,
yeah, but if you want, remember, he used this definition in the beginning, and it would do you well to remember this if you're going to have actual debates about socialism and capitalism. Socialism and capitalism don't have anything to do with how much money you make. It has to do with the relationship between the means of production and the laborers that produce things, right? So, for instance, like in a capitalist economy, you have a guy that owns capital, and he generally brings in labor to work with that capital to create revenues, right? And of those revenues, the capitalist keeps some, it's called profit, and then the laborer takes whatever the capitalist gives him. Now, a lot of communists/socialists will call that profit that the capitalist takes, they would call that theft, right? They would say that, or they might say exploitation. But so when Hasan says things, because he was starting to give you a whole bunch of reasons for like, oh, no, I am kind of a socialist. And he talks about like workers setting their own schedules and having their own freedom to do whatever and getting pay raises. That's all capitalist shit. Nothing about that is socialist. Socialists would actually, even giving somebody a percentage of the profits has nothing to do with socialism. That's still capitalism because he's the sole owner. At any point in time, if Hasan wanted to, he could fire every single worker and replace them with somebody else. That's what a capitalist can do. What Hasan has never done, and what he will never do, because he's a good boy capitalist, like all capitalists are, is giving away parts of the actual ownership of the business structure to his employees. That's what socialism is. He will never do that because he wouldn't want to give away part of his brand. Rightfully so. I don't think he should. He's a smart guy. He's built it all himself. Sharing that shit with people you bring in just to work it. But he would say that everybody else should, but he would never do that. But yeah.
I think that's why in the beginning of the conversation, I literally stated, like, if he would have came on, for his entire brand and just said, listen, I'm a capitalist, but I believe in certain socialist systems that should be in place, you know, kind of in conjunction with the capitalist ones, right? Like
Yeah,
a
but
middle
that's
ground
not
between
that's
the
not
two.
socialism at all. Socialist systems,
Of course
technically-
not.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
you're
but-
talking about there is that's like what Republicans used to call socialism, like socialized healthcare. That's not socialism. That's just government action. Yeah.
So not socialism. What I'm saying is to just meet in the middle. Instead of looking at it as being just a socialist or looking at it just being a capitalist, find a system that optimizes the benefits of both. Right? That's the proper way to preach things, in my opinion, because that's what I believe in the future. Like, that's our only hope.
Yeah, but he would just say that
benefits
he
of both
does
sides.
that. But if you want to talk about benefiting from both, then what you're really talking about is capitalism. Because in a capitalist system, you can have private owned means of production and you can have people that run co-ops and stuff. That's one of the nice things about capitalism. It's relatively flexible. But if we lived in a socialist country, all private ownership would be banned. So you wouldn't be able to do that. So the mixed model that you're talking about can only happen in a capitalist form of organization, but it couldn't happen in a socialist one.
Okay. So then what I'm talking about would have to happen in a capitalistic government, and then we would just implement socialist systems within that capitalistic government.
Yeah, there are
That would
different,
be the
like if you want to do
middle
like a
ground?
co-op, like a cooperatively owned thing, nothing is stopping you from doing that right now, you know?
So what kind of government? Okay, so let me ask you this: what kind of government would it be if, or not government? What kind of system would we have in place if it operated in a capitalistic fashion, but it worked in conjunction with, you know, let's say, a baseline free healthcare, you know, a baseline education system that encourages people to go to school, finish school, and come out with a baseline degree, you know, bachelor's degree or bachelor of arts or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah,
What kind
I
of
mean
system
that's just
would that just be capitalism?
yeah.
with socialist
You just call that government.
systems?
You just call that like government intervention, but it's like it's still the markets. All of your market forces and everything are still like capitalist driven. Like Sweden and Norway, those are capitalist countries. They're not part socialist. Those are just full on. Those are capitalist countries. You can call it like a welfare state. You can call it like socialized systems, government-run systems, but nothing about that is like they're not cooperatively owned by the people. None of that is socialism.
Interesting. So from what you're describing to me, it's actually consistent with what I believe I am. I always say I'm a capitalist, but I believe in like certain systems that should be in place that would be, I thought they were more described as socialist systems, but I guess they would just be an intervention.
It's just market interventions, yeah, or just like
Okay.
government rent systems, yeah. Also, Hasan did a little tricky thing too. Don't ever let him get away with this. Hasan does this really clever thing where sometimes he's just lazy as fuck, but he tries to play it off as a virtue. Hasan saying things like, "Oh, I don't believe in intellectual property. That's why I let people run YouTube channels." That's not true. He was just lazy as fuck for a long time. He didn't run a YouTube channel. It's not because he was trying to give his IP to the world. If Hasan truly didn't care about intellectual property rights, then why the fuck is he making any money off of his merchandise? He doesn't create any of the art. He doesn't make any of the shirts. He's not even in charge of like distribution. Why is he collecting any money off of that? He's making money off it because of intellectual property. It's his intellectual property. He owns the artwork, and the laborers that are working underneath him are basically being exploited by him to give him a profit. So he does care about intellectual property. He just pretends he doesn't to try to get some virtue points on not running a YouTube channel, you know?
I think the biggest disconnect between the way everyone sees that conversation versus how I saw it was probably my naivety, right? Like in what I thought that conversation was.
Well,
That's why I was.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but this is what I would say again. Okay, Hasan's not an idiot, right? As much as I might say, "Oh, he's stupid," or he's not. He's a fairly smart guy. If you're going to go into a conversation like that, you need to be like pretty carefully prepared, and especially if you're going to argue about like past things that have happened. This is why I make quote unquote manifestos, because it's nice to have like all the links and the source in one place. So you can argue from like, you know, here this happened, look this happened, look this happened. Because when you don't have those, people can very easily be like, "Oh, well, I didn't say that. Prove it." And it's like, well, I don't know that clip.
See,
and then,
that's what I was hoping for. Like in, you know, when this was being quote unquote set up, I was thinking, okay, you know what, we're gonna come in there. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna, right? For example, like when that call came up where I was saying, "Oh, Hasan got owned," you know, I came forward. I'm like, "Yo, listen, you know what? That was inappropriate of me. It was insensitive of me to use a situation of somebody else, right? And you know, deal with that beef between you and I, right? Like, and I apologize for it. I was assuming that we're gonna come on, be reasonable, be honest, and you know, find a middle ground. I didn't expect full denials for things that, you know, I know he knows happened. Like I didn't expect that game. I thought we were just gonna come on and be like, you know what, like, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't have done this, blah blah blah, right? That's what I thought was gonna go down. That's clearly my you know, I was being naive. I was being you know, I let my guard down, and I think I trusted, and that wasn't the case. It was more of a gladiator in an arena than it was a talk between old friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you got to be careful. Like, one, I mean, there's a chance that there's a chance he never actually did do any of that stuff, and it's just you misremembering, and it was coming from a subreddit.
Definitely
That's
not.
possible.
Definitely.
I don't know.
No.
I don't remember.
Definitely not.
But also, too,
Yeah.
he might be misremembering, and he doesn't remember doing that, and he thought it came from a subreddit, which is another reason why it's important for you to then, like, have clips. And then, two, if he is in, like, debate mode, and he doesn't want to lose any credit by arguing with you, he might be waiting for, he might just deny until you can actually produce concrete proof of something happening. And then if you can't do that, then he'll just continue to deny, because why would he ever give you any points on anything when he could just indefinitely deny it?
That's why I say, so like my take today was this, right? Here's what I kind of said. I kind of just, or the gist of what I said was, I watched the, I watched the VOD of it on my own time, and I'm actually happy with the way it went on my end. Yes, I was definitely soft. I will happily admit that, but that was the point of the entire thing, in my opinion, right? And in that, because of that conversation now being there forever, time will tell, right? Because those clips, or these things, like, they will arise. Kind of like that clip that your community found, or whoever it was that found that, right? Like, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, that wasn't nothing crazy, but it just showed that it did exist a little bit. So I think time will tell.
No, time won't tell. Nobody, unless somebody makes a big deal and wants to revisit this and, like, start making YouTube videos or something off of it. The last conversation will be the last impression people have of it. Unless somebody else decides to, like, make a video series on it.
Well, yeah. Like, in the light of exposing, yeah, you're right. Like, that's the last impression. You're right. But what I'm referring to is the things that I was saying and the things that I kind of laid out, right? Those things are kind of, they've been set into motion. Do you understand? Like, what I believe I spoke was the truth. Obviously,
yeah, I know, but I'm saying people are going to leave with the impressions that they have, and that's it. It's not going to change just because some other clips might exist. Unless somebody like goes out of their way to, like, make a dedicated video showing it or whatever.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm comfortable with that. So, like, I'm completely comfortable with the way that ended, and I guess the part we'll agree to disagree on is the time will tell regarding the things that I said. I think time will tell regarding those, but yeah, so when I say that, I guess I agree with what you're saying. The last impression for, like, the mob, sure, I agree with you. But for myself, I think that's important for me, because I know the things that I was saying are the truth. Therefore, I know time will tell eventually through that action of, to kind of add validity to things. Does that make any sense?
As far as really, but I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Wait, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're just saying that, like, in due time, like, you can tell that, like, you were correct on something, even if other people don't realize it, which I guess is,
yes,
could be the case.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was your overall analysis. I should have been a little harder, and I should have came prepared with political tactics.
Yeah, you have to be really prepared for those conversations. Here's, like, my thing, okay? And, like, people make this mistake against me all the time, okay? If you're gonna go after somebody for some shit that everybody's tried to nail them on, you better make sure you've thought about it a lot and you've got some novel, like, approach to the problem, some new way to approach it, right? There are a lot of people that come at me and was like, oh, didn't you do this like 8 years ago? And it's like, yeah, and 50 million people have tried to cancel me for it. What makes you think that you're gonna be the one to do it, So for Hasan, like, when it comes time to, like,
yeah,
talk
but
about,
I
like,
didn't do it like that at all.
That's fine, but I'm saying, but I mean, but that's what was happening, right? You were trying to kind of get him on some of the hypocrisies for the socialist stuff, but Hasan gets people attacking him over that shit all the time. So unless you've got some really good new way to attack that problem, it's probably not going to hit very well,
Yeah, but I didn't see it as a way to, right? Because at the end of the day, if that was the case, then that would be more of a debate, and that'd be more of an attacking each other rather than a squashing the beef.
Sure, you can say that, but that conversation was a debate. It wasn't just squashing the beef. You were trying to hit him in his values, right? And say that, like, he wasn't living up to his values of being a socialist. So, like, that's going to be that's something that people, like, attack him on all the time,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from. It just feels more like, yeah, I could see that. That's fair. Damn. So then I was definitely naive for the intention of the call in the beginning.
Well, I don't know what you guys set it up as. I don't know what the...
It was set up just as, like, a casual talk to put differences aside and squash the beef. That was my understanding, at least. But it seems like it ended up being a blood for blood gladiator battle of who can win the popular opinion.
That's what it seemed like it came out to be.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like the way that XQC was presenting it sounded like that's what it was going to be the entire time. Because XQC start opened with like, you guys might have like ideological differences or whatever.
Yeah, which I don't think are like, that's not going to be solved no matter what.
Yeah,
even
but
if I came,
to. Right, that's the point.
Yes, softly. That's the point, right?
Well, but it wasn't soft. It was a full-on hardcore debate on whether Hasan was a hypocrite for being a socialist.
Yeah, but if it was my intention to be hardcore, then I would have just said no until I had, you know, clips and, you know, evidence and, you know, whatever the fuck, right? Like, but to me, it was just a soft debate or a soft discussion where we go in, you know, we talk about the ideological differences, which I knew wouldn't be solved, right? Because the only way they'd be solved is if, right, like it would lead to what you're saying it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, like, because that's the perception is everybody's going to look at it. That's how I viewed it. It was a hardcore debate on whether or not Hasan was a hypocrite. That just seems like what the conversation was.
Yeah, I guess I could see that for sure. I guess my intention's irrelevant, right? It's the effect, so.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, for what it's worth, it wasn't my intention, and that's not what I thought it was, so I guess that's a lesson to be learned.
Sure.
But still, even with that, I guess we'll agree to disagree on the time will tell part.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll have
Other than that, how was everything else?
Okay, just chilling.
What are you watching now?
Oh my god. Did you see this?
What is it?
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's very clearly it was a debate.
Jesus Christ. That is shameless.
Sorry. But, yeah.
That is so shameless. And he presented, do you see the way he presents it? As if I was the one yelling and he's the one calm? Whenever oh, man. That is shameless.
Yep, just be ready.
Holy fuck. Yikes. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Oh, well.
What are your thoughts on CS2?
I don't have strong thoughts. I don't have strong thoughts on CSGO. I didn't never play that much. But I mean, I'm sure I'll be playing it. Everybody will be, right? A little bit.
Yeah. Have you checked your game to see if you got... Have you checked your game to see if you got into beta or no?
How do you even get in?
If you just like open the game, when you get into the game, you'll get a pop-up to see, because there was randomized invites sent.
No shot. I'm not even gonna check. Do I have to actually have the game like installed and everything to check?
Yeah, you have to like get into the main menu and then it says.
How many people even got invited?
I don't know. It was completely random from what they say. Although I find that like statistically like improbable, right? Because if it was completely random, what are the chances that all the large creators?
Well, I mean, they can do random plus like certain people will definitely get in, you know?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of people that were CS:GO loyalists that should have got it before the the Valorant turn ones. But then again, from marketing, I can understand the reasoning to give it to certain Valorant streamers as well.
Damn.
So all in all, I guess it makes sense from both perspectives. I'm excited though. I wish I would have got the access to just open cases, but I understand why I didn't. I fully understand why I didn't. There was people that deserve it before me for sure that actually played the game. Damn. Oh, Destiny. We gotta bring the podcast back. Were you down?
Sure. Yeah, why not? Find people, do it, yeah.
The good old podcast.
Are you guys announcing any new big signatories or signers to Kick soon?
Yeah, you.
Besides me?
Yeah, I can't say though. There's some big guys coming.
Okay.
Should be good. Damn, I'm kind of I'm a little. I'll be transparent with you. I'm a little. Once again, it's my fault completely. I don't want to play victim here, but I definitely feel deceived regarding what that conversation was for.
I mean, blame XQC, I guess. I don't know who was in charge of setting it up and figuring out what it was supposed to be, but
I know people are gonna call me schizo and delusional,
Yeah, they already do. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. But I really, really like. I don't know what it is, Des. Like, I watched it again, and I really feel like I'm very comfortable with what I said versus how it looks. Like, I understand how it looks, but I'm very comfortable with what I said, and I truly believe time will tell and time will show that what I said was not only sufficient, but it made more sense.
Okay.
Like, maybe that's delusional, maybe I'm coping, maybe I'm trying to rationalize, I don't know, but I really, because I listened to it again. So I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Like you said, I think the way I look at it is this, right? Like, the things I explained, you know, regarding how I am, my brand, my business, right? I can just do me, right? Because I'm not, right? I don't sell this image of a perfect human being, or, you know, I don't preach perfect systems while not following, right? But, you know, from that debate or discussion or whatever it ended up being, the reason I say time will tell is because when you deny everything and don't give in to any points, or don't, you know, let in at all and say, okay, you know what, I could see this, maybe I'll work more, you know, I'll work, you know, I'll do better. Right now, you have to, right, in my opinion, he has to be completely perfect and nothing short of it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, a little bit.